We are joined now by the chair of the Republican National Committee, Ronna McDaniel. Chairwoman, thank you for joining us.
Great to be with you, Kevin.
I want to get your preview of what we are going to hear now for the rest of the convention and an analysis of what we heard last night.
Well, the theme of our convention is the great American story. And I think you heard through the speakers last night the reason why they love the United States of America and the freedoms and the opportunity it's brought to people like Tim Scott or Maximo Alvarez. And you're going to see more of that as we go into Land of Heroes and Land of Promises. Tonight you'll hear from the First Lady, which will be very exciting. You're going to have venue changes every day. But the overall theme is this is the greatest country on earth. We love this country. And we want to have the opportunity and the freedoms that we enjoy as Americans available forever. And that's at risk if we choose a Joe Biden or a Kamala Harris.
Now, swing state polls have the president trailing just behind Joe Biden. Obviously, we're still a ways out from Election Day. He's still within striking distance in these polls. But on the issue of the economy, President Trump, according to the Wall Street Journal NBC News poll, is up by 10 percentage points, despite some disapproval in handling of the pandemic. When you look at those two issues, handling of the pandemic as well as the economy, how do you reconcile that and use the convention as an opportunity potentially to tell the Republican story on the handling of the pandemic?
Well, you've seen Democrats really try and politicize the pandemic and use that as a way to criticize the president. And I think most Americans recognize this has never happened in our country. It's a global pandemic. The president took decisive action, cutting down travel to China early on, with the PPP loans, with the PPE that he's made available, with ventilators, with warp speed vaccines. So he's addressing that. But I think more than anything, as we talk about the economy, Joe Biden just said, I will shut down America again. I think that is such an elitist view. Not many people can afford to stop going to work right now. People live paycheck to paycheck. We don't see Democrats here trying to pass a stimulus bill. Instead, they're trying to pass a USPS bill to make sure that they get elected again. They're not working on behalf of the American people. And when Joe Biden says we're going to shut it down again, you know who can shut down again? Hollywood celebrities and the politically elite. Most average Americans need this economy to continue growing. And that's what President Trump has done, balancing health and safety with getting the economy open.
And on the issue, though, of the economy, you look at a state like Michigan, of course, Chairwoman, that you're incredibly familiar with, such a key battleground state in this election. But you look at some of these suburbs in particular that are swing districts that have gone blue in 2018, that if Republicans want to win, they got to win them back. How will the Republican Party try to make some inroads in those swing districts? Is it school choice? Is it law and order?
Both, and the economy. School choice, law and order, and the economy are things that are going to help bring back suburban voters, especially as they see Joe Biden embrace the policies of Bernie Sanders that are very extreme. There's a reason why they didn't talk about these policies during their convention, because they know that they don't appeal to mainstream Americans. When you say we're going to give free health care to people who come here illegally, what does that mean? It means it'll create a magnet for people to come here illegally, and it will increase the cost of healthcare. When they say we're going to give away four-year college degrees, moms in the suburbs, we know that's not true. That just means our taxes are going to go up. And you know what? Why don't you focus on getting kids graduating from high school before we give away free college? There's so many things that they're putting forward that aren't being vetted. And I think suburban women especially are looking at this and recognizing Joe Biden's policies will bankrupt this country.
So the Republicans are making an argument on policies. When I talk to Democrats, they're making an argument more on ethos, or as Joe Biden says, fighting for the soul of the country. And they raise this notion of the chaos, so to speak, coming, in their words, coming from the administration. How do Republicans counter that about the pushback that Democrats have really been lobbing as a criticism?
Well, the chaos we're seeing is only coming from Democrat-run cities that are allowing rioting and looting and all types of mayhem to unfold in their cities, with mayors abandoning their police forces, like we've seen in Seattle, like we've seen in New York. Everyone's watching this in the country. It's the president who's saying we need law and order. But on the second point, I said this last night, Joe Biden is running as a nice guy. It is not nice to raise taxes on 82% of American families. It is not nice to get rid of 10 million energy jobs, which means we're going to have to pay more to fuel our car and heat our homes. So Joe Biden may be nice, but his policies are not. Donald Trump is tough, and he's tough when he takes on China, and he's tough when he fights for the American people, because nice guys like Joe have given away too much to countries like China and Iran. And I think there's a real difference between saying he's a nice guy and looking at a leader that's decisive and action-oriented like President Trump.
And just one final question that I want to ask you about navigating through a virtual convention and with fewer campaign rallies. But on the issue of foreign policy, you mentioned the Iran deal. You mentioned China in particular. Later this evening, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is going to be addressing the convention from speaking overseas. Democrats say that they want to take a multilateral approach in the world. The president and this administration have argued that the U.S. being able to be a little bit more independent, for lack of a better word, has enabled the administration to better make their case for America in the world. What are we going to hear from Secretary Pompeo tonight?
Well, I'm not going to preview everything he's going to say, and he's going to be addressing the nation as Mike Pompeo, and he's in Israel, but all the production costs will be paid for by the RNC and the campaign. I do think it's critical to note, like you said, Barack Obama and Joe Biden engaged in trade deals that did not benefit the American people. Everything was multilateral, and Donald Trump said, we're going to go back to unilateral trade deals. I'm going to deal with countries individually, and we're going to make our country stronger by doing that. And you see what he's done with USMCA. You see what he's done recently, not on a trade deal, but with this historic peace deal with the UAE and Israel. So this is a president who has addressed foreign policy in a very different way, and he has made significantly more strides than Joe Biden and Obama and their failing trade policies that did not put America first.
And then final question, just how have you as a business organization, as well as, of course, as the RNC, how have you had to shift the strategy during the pandemic?
Well, of course, we all had to adjust to COVID. The RNC went virtual within 24 hours, but now we are re-engaging. We're knocking doors again. We're registering voters. We've out-registered the Democrats in 6 battleground states. These are things that are getting unnoticed, but are going to be critical as we're turning out that vote in November. The RNC has been a well-oiled machine. We've raised record money. We have 2,000 staff on the ground. We've activated 2 million volunteers. And this is going to be instrumental as we're turning out our vote towards November. And beyond that, we have the message on our side. President Trump is talking about the great American comeback, and Joe Biden's talking about transforming the greatest nation on earth that has provided the most opportunity for the most people. And it's why so many people want to come to the United States of America. Joe's version of America is doom and gloom. President Trump sees a bright future.
I did not realize that the RNC had out-registered Democrats in 6 battleground states. Chairwoman Ronna McDaniel, thank you so much for your time and for previewing the convention, as well as talking some policy with us as well. Always a pleasure.